It's showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
Kind of fine Saturday matinee to you, Andy.
Hey, good morning.
You're just going to do all of the morning lines now?
Is that too perky?
That's way too perky.
That's right. Well, Steve's not here, so I gotta take over, fill in for everybody.
You sound ridiculous, just so that's on the table. Really?
Yeah, it's
really
like,
ridiculous.
Bienvenidos!
Willkommen.
Bienvenue.
I slept through my alarm this morning, Andy. I don't know how that happens. Like, it works, but I woke up, luckily, and depressingly, I guess I'm getting older because now I just wake up early.
Right.
Do you know that? Like, now I'm my grandfather.
Hey, yeah, I know that. I woke up at 4 this morning, Pete, on my own.
Oh, man.
That's right. These things just happen sometimes.
Oh, dear. It's not good. It's not good. How's your movie life?
It hasn't been too bad. I did get to go see Thor Ragnarok, which I quite loved. So that was a lot of fun.
Did you? What of the three, where do you stand?
Oh, it was absolutely my favorite of the three. It's just a blast. It's up there as far as my favorites of the Marvel films. I'd have to rewatch a few of them, but it certainly is way up high. It just was a blast.
There's some real haters, people who've said that it disrespected Thor.
Well,
do you know those people?
I don't know any of those people. I've seen some comments from people who really just found it awful. But I guess it depends on what you're looking for. You know, it certainly wasn't like misdirected like Stallone's Judge Dredd, which seemed, I mean, I was never a Judge Dredd fan, but it just seemed like that was not the direction that the Judge Dredd character ever should have gone. It's kind of that stupid Rob Schneider comedy. And Thor is just kind of an obscure, maybe not obscure, but kind of a peculiar superhero because he's like this Norse god. It's like, that's not really a superhero then, you know, it's a totally kind of different thing. So I don't know. I feel like they treated it with some kind of peculiar tones that I thought that the property might warrant.
Okay, so the executioner bit, that was straight out of the comic, right? Where the executioner, and you know who we are, everybody. Spoilers abound. The executioner at the end does the rescue from Asgard with 2 AK-47s, shooting all of the aliens, the zombie Asgardians.
Yeah, the zombie.
The zombie, whatever it is. Shooting them with these AK-47s and, or whatever kind of assault rifle they are. Shoots them, and they are tumbling out of this spacecraft, and it's a big explosive thing. And that's the first time I had trouble with the film. The film is if you step back and realize it's ridiculously violent, but it's so cartoon violent that you don't even think about it. Like, I don't even notice it. Like, the entire premise of the movie is that it's Thor and his buddies against the goddess of death, right? I mean, it's just that's pretty much her stock and trade. It's what she does.
Exactly. Right.
And so it's so fantastical, the spears and the spearing and the stabbing and all of that, that you don't even think about it until the AKs. And then
they're M16s.
Real.
M16s.
Exactly.
I went over to our
M16s.
friend, the imfdb.org website to check.
God, I'm so glad that exists.
Oh my.
Thank God for times like this when you absolutely positively need to know the guns. And then it just stuck. It just stuck in my head. That's a real gun.
Yeah.
Suddenly, that's not a cartoon gun, and we got a problem with guns, right? In the U.S.
We do.
Did you think about it at all?
No, because it's they're in Asgard. It just I guess for me, it didn't faze me because
Asgard's where the people are, Andy. Asgard's where the people are. Asgard's in your heart, baby.
Well, in this particular case, it was the real Asgard that they were in. and he was shooting at zombies. So I guess the whole thing just, it was already at a point where everything was just absurd. And so it didn't really hit me in any way where it was kind of tone deaf at all of a sudden. So I didn't have an issue with it.
You are clearly totally immune at this point. That's what you're saying. Can we talk about trailers?
Let's talk about trailers.
Oh, Andy. I'm going to go first.
Yeah, you don't it's not quite the red band rule, but it warrants it a little more than mine.
Oh, it's kind of red bandy.
It is kind of red bandy, but it didn't have one, so
I actually have a pair of trailers. The real trailer is Game Night, 2018 Game Night. It is the story of a group of friends who meet regularly for game night, and they find themselves all of a sudden trying to solve a real murder mystery. And it sounds fairly banal, but it comes from directors this time, John Francis Daley and Jonathan Goldstein, and those names may not sound familiar at all to you until you realize that they were 2 of the 10 people with screenplay credits on Spider-Man Homecoming, which I love that they are now doing this movie. That just for some reason that makes me very, very happy. It stars Rachel McAdams and Jason Bateman and Jesse Plemons and Kyle Chandler, are some of the bigger names you will know. Billy Magnuson, Kylie Bunbury. It's a fairly large cast. Very excited to see Lamorne Morris, comedian and my favorite character on The New Girl. He is in this movie as well, one of the 8. Fairly simple setup. It's kind of a setup for like the game. You think,
right.
this is going to be kind of a real thing. You don't know what's real, what's not, and then it starts happening, and oh my goodness, it looks very real. Very, very real. I think Rachel McAdams, by the time you get to the end of the trailer between Rachel McAdams and Jason Bateman, that this movie absolutely hooked me. They look very, very funny. What did you think?
Yeah, this is like The Game meets The Man Who Knew Too Little. I don't know if you remember seeing that movie. Yes. It was just the most absurd Bill Murray movie that I just absolutely love. It's just so silly, but it's like somebody gets stuck in this real situation and has no idea that it's real. And these people are playing along with this whole thing like it's this murder mystery that their friend set up, but the whole thing is actually real. And they're kind of going along with it. It just made me laugh. Everything from Jesse Plemons and his fantastic withdraw into the darkness moment that he has in the trailer, which was so brilliant, to that moment at the end when the guy gets sucked into the plane engine and Rachel McAdams is like, yes, oh no, he's dead. Just there is this comedy level with her that is just so perfect. And Jason Bateman, I always love, he brings a great level of comedy to everything, and his career resurgence that he's had since Arrested Development. I've been so happy to see him doing stuff. But I mean, everybody in here, it's just like Jeffrey Wright. You never get to see him in comedy, but here he is. Like, this is a great group of people to put into this comedy. So I'm very excited for this one.
Well, so many of these actors are such great actors before they're comedians, right? And they have such wonderful serious roles, and that when they are in comedies like this, they just absolutely shine. And so I'm with you. I think it's great. Unbeknownst to many, Jason Bateman has actually been completely facial replaced in this movie. It was originally Kevin Spacey, and it's now.
Wah, wah.
Okay, we got to talk about that too. Anyway, short answer is Game Night it looks very funny. It is coming. It starts its rollout February 15th in Argentina and rolls through February all the way through May 4th in the UK. We get it in the US March 2nd. But here's the thing. It was actually pushed out from a February release to a March release, and I think that bodes well, Andy. I really do, getting it closer to spring break. What do you think? Am I just being overly hopeful?
Well, it was scheduled to be released on Valentine's Day, so I don't know if they're aiming for kind of that Valentine's Day weekend sort of fun sort of thing to go watch with your date. March 2nd isn't quite spring break, so I don't know. It's just like a couple weeks back. Maybe they were just trying to avoid some other big movie that's popping out in Valentine's Day. I don't know.
Well, my bonus pick is Blockers, and you don't need to go watch this. I will be watching this movie. It's from director Kay Cannon. It stars Leslie Mann, John Cena, Catherine Newton, Ike Barinholtz, and it is the story of parents who are attempting to stop their teen children from losing their virginity. It is definitely a red bandish.
I'd say hardcore red band.
It's a hardcore red band. It's a hardcore red band. Hard red band. But if you are a father to a teen or preteen daughter, you should watch this movie. I think you will get a lot out of it. You should watch this trailer.
Get some pointers.
It will make you laugh cry. They nailed that for me. I am laugh crying all the way to the theater.
Yeah, ain't that the truth? Oh my goodness.
Your trailer, Andy, I think this was not the red band version of this trailer. God, I'd love to see that.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that would look like, but that would be interesting. I am going with the trailer for the new Steven Spielberg film that's coming out called The Post. That is about the journalists from the Washington Post and the New York Times who published leaked documents, the Pentagon Papers, regarding the kind of the government's role in the Vietnam War and all of that sort of stuff. This was a film that I heard it was announced pretty soon after the election last year. I can't believe it's been a year. It's been announced pretty quickly because I think, the way that things had been happening in Washington with fake news and everything, people were looking for a story that dealt with the role of the press and kind of the importance of it in particular and how it looks at the government and everything. And this looks like a really interesting story to tell right now. And so for that, I'm quite excited about it. We have Tom Hanks, of course, my favorite, who is in the film playing Ben Bradley. And Meryl Streep playing Kay Graham. I believe she is the editor at The Post. And the two of them kind of fighting against the government as the government's trying to shut them down and threaten arrest and all of that sort of stuff. It looks like a really fantastic story and a fantastic group of people here. Also, Sarah Paulson is in the film. Bob Odenkirk looks fantastic in here. Bradley Whitford, Bruce Greenwood, Tracy Letts, Matthew Rhys, Alison Brie, David Cross. I mean, Jesse Plemons again. It's a big cast of people in this really interesting looking Steven Spielberg film written by Liz Hannah and Josh Singer. So that is my trailer pick. What'd you think?
Zach Woods is in it, man. Zach Woods. He is my very favorite off of Silicon Valley. How can you leave his name off the list?
He is funny. My favorite bit with him is his death in Spy. I don't know if you remember that role, but
I still haven't seen Spy.
God, it's so funny. Gotta check that one out.
Yeah. I'm really disappointed that and Matthew Rhys is in it, right, from The Americans.
Yeah.
That's amazing. This is an amazing cast, and with all of these incredible people, Marky Post isn't in it at all, and that seemed like a slam dunk. You have no love for Marky Post? Is that what I'm hearing by your reaction? That took way too long.
Hey,
Marky Post, man, Night Court. Come on. How do you? God, you've been doing this a long time.
The things you think of.
Andy, dear Andy.
Why? But
Andy.
Why would she be in it though?
Because she's fantastic. She's just fantastic. She's a fantastic human being. Shut up, Andy. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to this movie. I think it looks great, and it's obviously I usually really, really love newspaper movies. I'm a big fan of newspaper movies, even though I was not a big fan of Spotlight, because I think newspaper movies can be better than Spotlight, and this one is actually better than Spotlight. Maybe that would have been better with Marky Post. I'm just saying. So I'm definitely in for this movie. This is one I want to see, and you could everything is great about the promotional train on this movie. I love the poster that's currently out and on IMDb with on the steps. Is just beautiful art design. It
really is. And
I would love to meet somebody named Streep Hanks. That's an awesome name. Streep Hanks.
Yeah, there you go.
So anyway, when do we get to
it's
see
going to have a limited release December 22nd.
Hello, Oscar bait.
Hello, Oscar bait. This one, I hear that Tom Hanks actually is digitally replacing the role that Kevin Spacey originally had inhabited. The other... Oh,
still funny.
It's still funny.
Still
the
funny.
other, and it's going to be opening opposite Kevin Spacey's other digitally replaced film, All the Money in the World, December 22nd. Yeah, so that's when it's going to have its limited release to get to the Oscar plug. Otherwise, January 12th is where it will have its wide release.
All right. What do you think about this Spacey thing?
Wow, it sure shows the shift, I think, that people are taking within the industry as far as just kind of saying no more. You know, we're done with this. It needs to end. And it's a really kind of a big decision on the part of Ridley Scott and his team to go through with this, especially with kind of like a month and a half before the movie opens, to digitally replace Kevin Spacey's entire performance with Christopher Plummer. I can only imagine the challenge that's going to be, but it's interesting to see them doing that. And I think part of it is the backlash that Harvey Weinstein had and all the talk that there had been about films like Wind River and The Current War and the difficulties that those films were going to have with getting any sort of notice or recognition when it comes to the awards. Or in the case of The Current War, even getting a release because of the connections to Harvey. In this particular case with Scott's film, it happens to be an actor, and he's able to digitally replace him and make the film something that is releasable and isn't going to suffer because of it. I can only imagine it's a hard decision. It's an expensive decision, but for them, I think it's a decision that they're able to make, so they are. Whereas, unfortunately, for The Current War, they don't have that option. It's, Weinstein's a producer, and you really can't just digitally replace that.
Yeah, this is, I don't know, we had this conversation in Slack, and, I think who originally first got to it, I think it was Steve in Slack. He posted this link about Plummer replacing Spacey and All the Money in the World. And so I made kind of a snap comment, this is what You'll Never Work in This Town Again really looks like, amazing. And Ben Lott and Nick Langdon, they came back with some really good points, right? That if this is, Ben says, if this is the attitude in Hollywood, that Hollywood holds and the world doesn't suffer from cultural amnesia, we shouldn't be seeing any more films from Roman Polanski or Mel Gibson, right? Mad Mel's last film, says Nick, got nominated for 4 Oscars and was invited into all the chat shows, so it's clear he's been forgiven. Ditto for Polanski and Woody Allen. I don't know if does this feel different to you? Mel
Gibson and Woody Allen are different beasts to tackle because they are kind of in the Michael Richards camp of, well, you've said some things that are pretty atrocious, or in Woody Allen's case, just the ick factor. But is there anything that's legally wrong that, you could have been sued for or anything? Maybe not. But in the case of Roman Polanski, that's the one that for me, it always it's like, gosh, I can't believe that people are still acting in his films and that he's still out there making films and everything. And I've seen some of them. I can't say that I had completely shut him out, but more and more as time goes by, I'm feeling less and less inclined to really look at anything of his.
Yeah, I think so too. This one does feel a little bit different to me. It feels like Spacey. It feels like the shock was just, for those of us who aren't in Hollywood, now it's out that my goodness, he's been doing this quite a bit. The allegations are thick. But for those of us who kind of live outside of the establishment, I was not aware of any of those rumors. Kevin Spacey was beloved, and now it's goodness, it is as much shock and awe as it is straight up heartbreak. And so he feels very much like a symbol, a bellwether, and to me, and I really hope that it's a symbol of change. That Harvey Weinstein, you look at Harvey and just how he behaves, and it's easy to see how he gets the reputation. Oh, that's just Harvey, right? In Hollywood, like it's easy to see that because he kind of exudes I'm a Hollywood monster, and Spacey does not, to me. And never has, and so that this blowback is happening, strikes me as every bit the response to who we thought he was. I don't know. It's time for change, and we talked about maybe a little bit the Tom Hanks comments. Tom Hanks did some fantastic interviews with BBC, where he was asked about this when he was doing press for the last film, and he said, all of it has to come out. All of it has to come out. This is the reckoning, right? This has to come out, and we have to be able to clean out the sewage in the pipes. We have to be able to start over in so many ways and take this out of our system.
Yeah, it'll be a really. I mean, we're already seeing more. Louis C.K. That was just just happened.
Another one.
And I'm only just waiting for more. I mean, Bryan Singer had stories happening with him, 20 years ago, and I'm just waiting for, is that going to resurface? Like, are there going to be more of these things that just kind of are brought back to the forefront? I mean, Corey Feldman came out again about the child abuse that child actors dealt with, and so it's going to be a really interesting time. And it's interesting how it's going to be expanding outside of the entertainment world. I mean, it already is into the political world and other arenas where there's just powerful people who are able to, take their power and use it to ill means on people to get what they want. So we'll see how it kind of continues shaking out, but it's definitely shaking out.
It's just awful. It's just awful. Okay, you want to talk about the list? We need to talk about the box office? Do we have numbers to talk about this week?
Thor obviously did a great job at the box office. It had a $122.7 million opening last weekend, the fourth largest of the year so far. So it kicked off really nicely, and it's already crossed 500 million worldwide. So it's doing pretty well for itself, I'd say. This weekend we have Murder on the Orient Express and a limited release of Lady Bird and Daddy's Home 2. Everybody's been looking forward to that one. So I don't know if anything's going to take Thor down, but it'll be interesting to see who pushes into second.
Indeed, it will. I hope Thor has a nice long run.
I do too.
Long run. It's wacky.
It is. Lots of fun. Yeah. Lots of fun.
Now let's talk about this list, Andy. I was not here to rein you guys in last week.
Yeah, your whole
you came up with a list that's possibly as broad as any topic you have ever broached.
Hey, sometimes you got to be broad. Stamps. It was a very narrow thing. For those of you who are tuning in every week, we do a list, and the list is a chance to tie something into the film that we're talking about that particular week. This week we were talking about the wonderful Juan Jose Campanella film Son of the Bride, and there is it's a nice wedding with his parents that they get remarried, and it's really touching. And so we thought this week, hey, let's be nice and broad. How about films with weddings in them? Yes.
Yes, you did that. You certainly did.
Well,
Andy,
it'll be really interesting in this particular case because last week with stamps, I think that you even commented after you heard the show. It's like, wow, okay, you pretty much took all of my stamp movies. There weren't that many,
except for my list of Terrence Stamp movies, which I think it took you too long to get my joke.
Well, it's right up there with your Marky Post joke, Pete. Right up there.
Andy, those two jokes are in different atmosphere.
Let's see.
It's just not
the
even
stamp
related.
and the post. I don't know. I think they're pretty much right in the same ballpark.
All I could say is you better hope I have more fantastic material like that up my sleeve. I'm not telling anything.
I'm hoping. But hey, why don't you kick it off, Pete?
Well, Andy, the great weddings generally come as a result of the ride that it takes to get there, right? I mean, I feel like the best wedding movies are the wedding movies where you just really fall in love with the people and the experience, and so I had to start with possibly the best, most sort of quintessential wedding in any movie that I can remember, and it takes me back to my younger years, Andy, and that is the wedding in The Princess Bride. Marriage. All right? That is one of my very, very favorite wedding scenes. Can we hurry this up a bit?
Skip to the end.
Skip to the end. I just can't get enough of that particular wedding
within
scene.
A dweem.
Within a dweem, yeah, and it is just it's a sweet memory of a great wedding, and I think it actually is a theme for the weddings that I have. I think 2 of the 3 of them are actually weddings that are broken up in some way, shape, or form. So that kicks off my list.
That's a fantastic start. I will cross that off, so I won't be talking about that one. But I am going to also start with a wedding that gets broken up. And I think that I love this film so much because this was a big resurgence for Disney's animated studios in the late 80s. And it is, of course, the wedding toward the end, the climax of The Little Mermaid. And it's such a great film, and here you have this really climactic moment when Ariel, she's been unable to get to this wedding. It's out on this boat, and it's the wedding of Ursula, who has disguised herself as this woman who's using Ariel's voice locked in this little shell around her neck to hypnotize Prince Eric. And we have this wedding. They're getting married out on the boat. And it's up to Ariel and all of her sea friends to stop it and prevent Ursula from going through with this, because it's going to be the destruction of everything. Fantastic moment, and my favorite part of the whole thing, of course, is when it's the reveal that it is Ursula, and she transforms back into Ursula, and it's just like this giant explosion of octopus everywhere as she rips out of her wedding dress and attacks Ariel. Fantastic. I love that wedding. I love the scene. I love the movie. There you go.
That's a great pick. I didn't pick any animated weddings.
I don't know if there are that many others
on the list. I don't think there are. I guess do they get married at the end of Beauty and the Beast, or do they just
everybody's just happy? See, I think that's what happens with a lot of them. It's just they're all happy, they're together, they're kissing, but I don't. It's like, gosh,
they're suddenly living in sin.
Right.
It sends a different message.
Exactly.
My number 2 pick is actually fantastic because not because of the one wedding, but because there are so many weddings, and that is Wedding Crashers. And I actually was delighted by this movie, Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn. I think it is one of their better films together. But the wedding to really celebrate here is the very last wedding, where you get the fantastic rom-com break in all of the nonsense of the film, as Rachel McAdams is leaving. She's walking out of the wedding, and you have Owen Wilson making his case to her in a wedding, pleading for love of the maid of honor, and it's a very sweet moment in an otherwise crazy film that I think was very, very funny for me. So wedding, and the weddings that they crash are great, and that becomes sort of the fantasy movie for me. Like, I would love to just have a profession of crashing weddings and getting a lot of free food and playing all kinds of different roles. That sounds really fun to me, but I've never been that guy.
Well, and I think this is the film that introduced me to Isla Fisher, who I instantly fell in love with. She was fantastic in that movie.
Yeah, that's right.
I really enjoyed that movie. For me, it went on a little too long. I could have done without some of the bits with why am I blanking on his name all of a sudden? Will Ferrell, who pops in as the friend. But I still enjoyed it. It was still fun.
Christopher Walken, man. Christopher Walken.
My number 2, Pete, is a wedding that I think the entire film is just really powerful and brilliant. What I find so interesting about the wedding in this film is that the wedding they're getting married for the wrong reasons. And you realize that right away with the characters. And then it takes the rest of the film for them to figure out, that there actually is love there and how to actually make it work. The film is, of course, Jerry Maguire, which I think is just a brilliant, brilliant film. And that I love to pieces. And I love the way that the entire wedding is shot. It's all pretty much one camera shot focusing on the little boy as he's kind of the ring bearer at their wedding. And it's just a low shot looking at him as he's standing between Jerry and Renee Zellweger's character. And you just kind of see him as he kind of keeps lifting the ring up, like for them to take it and stuff. And finally they take the ring and everything. It's just super cute. It's just absolutely adorable. I love it. But I think it also speaks to the way that the wedding is kind of the importance of the wedding as far as, what it means to Jerry at this particular point in time. It's really just kind of a connection with these people and a connection with the kid. But he's just kind of a buddy to Dorothy at this point, and it's not until later in the film that he realizes that she completes him. So that's my number 2.
Aw, that's a great pick. People make too much fun of Jerry Maguire. I think there were too many lines that are able to be taken out of context and lampooned, and that's actually, it is, on the whole, it's a very sweet movie.
Yes, absolutely.
People should shut up.
People should. Hear, hear.
My final wedding, Andy, when I heard you guys say, oh, let's do wedding films, there's only one wedding that popped into my mind immediately, and it locked in as my number 1 early. I talk about this wedding all the time. When I got married, I said, I hope it's not that. And that is the fantastic climactic sequence in Mike Nichols' The Graduate. Dustin Hoffman is coming to Catherine Ross's wedding, and it's a beautiful scene. He's coming to break it up and tell her that he loves her and take her back, but it is a beautifully shot scene as he's trying to get into the church. We have these wonderful shots of from the perspective of the bride and groom looking back up over the crowd with him standing up on the second level in this giant glass window with his hands up trying to get in and stop them, and then it's reverse perspective kind of through his arm and head and looking down on them getting married. It just is, it really builds the intensity of the sequence of his desperation and the just ferociousness that he's willing to approach this whole experience. And then he gets her and they start running out and he attempts to beat off the throngs with a cross in the lobby of the church. I'm in hysterics at this point when he then uses the cross to barricade the door and lock all of the guests in the church with a cross. It is beautiful and sacrilegious at the same time. And the fact that it ends with them on a public city bus, like in the very back, looking through the window of the scene of ceremonial carnage that they have left behind. It delights me every time. It's just one real highlight in a movie that doesn't seem to age for me. That's The Graduate.
Well, and it's just a brilliant last shot because it's like the two of them, like, we did it, and then they're kind of looking at each other like, oh, okay.
Well, it's the ultimate what
now?
Yeah,
and it's like, was this the right decision? It's I don't know. It just it was like the perfect ending for that film. Great choice.
Totally.
Well, Pete, where would we be on a list? And as many weddings as there are in films, where would we be if I didn't cheat a little bit?
Oh dear.
I am not picking a wedding for my last one.
Is it about a divorce?
It's not about a divorce. No, but I'm picking a rehearsal, a wedding rehearsal. And it's because it says so much about this entire film. And it is particularly Kill Bill Volume 2, but really it's kind of the entire Kill Bill, the whole bloody affair. This is a film about this pregnant bride who gets shot and survives and then goes on this revenge rampage, kind of killing everybody from the Deadly Viper assassination squad who was involved in her attempted assassination. But it happens to be she's getting married to her former lover, or sorry, not her former lover. She's getting married to this guy she's trying to kind of settle down and everything. And so she's at her wedding rehearsal when Bill and the Deadly Vipers come in and decide to do all of this. That's a fantastic scene that we see play out fully in part 2. But really, it's just kind of that's this point in the story where the bride is trying to settle down before she has to go back into this life with Bill and go after these guys. It's just beautifully done. It's a really fantastic setup for this entire revenge story, and it's not quite a wedding; it's a rehearsal. But I figured it's close enough, so that's and she's called the bride through the whole film, so I figured it's okay.
All right, I will absolutely let that pass because that's a terrific pair. It's possibly my favorite Tarantino, I think, and it's absolutely my favorite Uma Thurman.
Oh yeah, she's great.
I get such joy out of watching Uma Thurman go through the escapades in this movie. It's just horrific. But the bride on her quest of vengeance. It's the ultimate Bridezilla story. Well done.
There you go.
Great pick. All right, Andy. So what does that mean for this week? We've gotten through weddings with Son of the Bride. I'm at a little bit of a I'm operating a little bit of a deficit here because I have not seen the movie that we're talking about next week yet.
Yeah, we're doing this.
What do we do?
The Secret in Their Eyes. Well, we could do movies and their remakes. You know how much I loved the remake for this particular film. We could do our favorite remakes. That would be certainly an interesting list. Or we could do something where it's people digging up old cases or something like that, which could make for a little more of an obscure list. But there's a few options.
Well, you know how I am on remakes too. I definitely would. I would go for that one first, but maybe in this case we should just try to put ourselves in Steve's shoes. What would Steve do? WWSD. Give him like the phantom vote.
I don't know what Steve would do. I feel like he would probably go with the more obscure choice of the looking
sure
at kind of cold cases.
Cold case movies it is.
There it is. All right.
Cold case movies. Okay, I'm making a note. I will tell you, unlike Best Weddings, I have nothing in my head right now. There is no quintessential cold case movie for me.
Yeah,
yet.
Nothing's popped into my head either.
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited to pull this one apart. This should be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everybody, for downloading and listening to us ramble this fine Saturday morning. We sure appreciate your time and attention, and definitely we appreciate your Patreon support. If you're listening to this, you are most likely a Patreon supporter because I think that's just about the only place you can get this thing. But if you manage to sneak it somewhere else, please consider heading over to patreon.com/thenextreel and supporting us there. Then you'll get it yourself. You don't have to cheat. You don't have to be a cheater. You don't want to live your life as a cheater. That's all I'm saying. So thank you, everybody, for supporting the show and helping us do what we do and helping Andy in every way that you can. He needs it. That's it. Have a great weekend, Andy.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.